Hello, welcome to the Turn Podcast. Today I get a chance to speak with Lindsay Rice, who is currently competing in the Canadian Touring Car Championship in the number 18 Audi RS3 LMS. Lindsay has always been into cars and naturally gravitated to motorsport. She is the perfect example of hustle brings results, doing whatever it took to be at the track, volunteering, making her goals and ambitions clear to her colleagues, and networking to finally lead to a sponsorship deal for her to start racing. So stay tuned as you learn more about her story and her ambitions for the future. So you're based out of Canada, is that right?
I am. Grew up in Mississauga, living here now. Seems
okay.
Good. Yeah.
Very cool. In like the Toronto area?
Mississauga, it's like 20 minutes outside of Toronto. Like I hop on the highway here. I'm downtown in 12 minutes, really.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. No
so then is like the team based out of there too?
Yeah. Well, this year, actually, technically, no. So my old team was this year, 2019. I will be joining a new team. So I made an announcement. There's actually a team coming up from Florida, from the U.S., to help me run my car. M1GT is their name. And for the Canadian races, they're actually going to be, their headquarters are going to be in Montreal, which is about a 6-hour drive from where I am. So the logistics are going to be fun.
Right. Yeah. I'll just meet him at the racetrack and.
Yeah. Say, can you make sure my car is ready and I'll see you there.
So how does that work? So is it kind of like a partnership and they have like several cars or?
Yeah, exactly. So they've been running a pretty intricate Audi sport program down in the States. Mm-hmm. The Audi TCR car, so the car that I'm in, has really picked up in Canada. I'm actually going to be racing against 8 or 9 of them this year. It's going to be very competitive, really, really cool. So that drew their attention to Canada, and they were like, "Hey, we do the best we can do down in the US. So let's try the Canadian market and see what these Canadian drivers can do." So it's myself and 2 other drivers in 2 more Audi RS3 LMSs. And we kind of all signed on with the team and they run the cars for us. I think the team actually owns and operates one of their cars and brings a driver in. I actually haven't met any of my teammates yet. I meet them this weekend, finally, our first race weekend. So
awesome. So then what's the preparations for like that then?
The prep behind the scenes, or you mean the prep getting in the car?
Well, I guess both. I mean, because you kind of manage everything. Is that right?
I do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do everything. And, I'm lucky to say that it's really worked out so far. So yeah, in terms of preparation, the whole preparation starts from basically mid-season last year and comes right up until today, until, a couple of days before our first race weekend. And it includes marketing and meetings and financial planning and sponsorship proposals and, testing and getting in the car, or simulation, getting in the car. If we're going to be more specific, as of today, I'm in a pretty intricate gym regime and I jog quite a bit. So I put a lot of focus in that and endurance cardio training to get myself physically and mentally prepared. And then, because I do everything, it's all the behind the scenes organization of the race weekend, hospitality, making sure all my partners are set up and ready to come watch the races and come meet me. And, and then I have to think, okay, and then I'm also getting in the car on Thursday.
Yeah.
So make sure we get enough sleep and eat well and all that good stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's crazy. So how'd you get into that then? So, from the start, have you always been into racing?
Not necessarily. Ever since I could drive, I've been into cars. And ever since I could drive fast, I've been gravitated towards motorsport. That's for sure. I'm a first generation racer, so somehow, some way, it made itself apparent to me when I was behind the wheel, and that was about 15 years old, 16 years old. And then it took me a while to kind of figure out, okay, how do I get to the track? How do I get in the car? What does this even look like? You know, what's the process of getting a race license and competitively driving? So that took quite a few years. And when I finally snapped into it, it was because I was volunteering at the racetrack and getting out there and creating this network and racing family. And once that happened, I mean, that was 4 years ago, and everything's just taken off like crazy since then. It's really, really cool to look back and be like, that was only 4 years ago, and here we are, you know?
Right. And it's cool that you're out there, kind of putting yourself out there, almost kind of grinding, volunteering, and that's where you make the connections, it seems like.
Yeah. To be honest, when I was volunteering, every single person I was working with was like, oh yeah, we know Lindsay wants to get in a car.
Yeah, cool.
We know. She tells us all the time, like, that's going to be her. She's on this side of pit lane, but that's going to be her right there behind the steering wheel. And I was lucky in the first couple months to a year. I got a lot of people behind me, some really special people behind me and believing in me and what I wanted to do. So, you know, those sponsors brought me racing in my Porsche 911 at the time. So,
wow. Yeah. And that's what it seems like more and more that I learn is not only do you have to be fast in the car, but you're also like setting up kind of a marketing business, essentially.
Yeah, personally, yes. Some drivers don't have to do all that, but some drivers do. And I think the difference there is, you know, some people got into it when they were 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, go-karting and have been in the motorsport world for a while. And they've kind of had this path set out for them. And there's a natural progression of levels. You graduate from one to the next, go-karting into formula cars if you want to go GT, or, you know, higher level formula cars. And there's this natural progression and there's programs for people to follow that path. Whereas me, I just kind of did it all, maybe backwards. I don't know.
Right.
But getting in my car and, you know, seeing, okay, this is what brings me driving, you know, the people that believe in me, the sponsors that believe in me, and I'm going to create as much value as I can for those people, because they're the ones putting a lot of trust in what I can do. And I think marketing these days, and I mean, really marketing always has helped a lot with that and creating that value for companies, for sure.
And it's kind of finding it's not really just, you know, sending out letters of, you know, intent to try to get sponsorships. It's creating a relationship with them, partnering with them, and finding what they want.
Definitely. One of my first questions when I do speak to a new partner is, you know, okay, I know motorsport is kind of outside of normal grounds for a marketing team or a marketing budget, let's say. So when you look at this program, what do you see? Like, what's your focus? Do you want it to be, okay, I can bring my clients and employees to the racetrack? Okay, I can personally get in the race car. Okay, I can, you know, post this as a community engagement for my company, you know, stuff like there's so many different angles you can kind of take it. And it's very important to figure out what exactly your partners do want from it, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And, you know, for me, I say it all the time. I thank my sponsors all the time because they're believing in my dream and not necessarily the racing, but they're believing in me. So I got to make sure I'm looking after them. And that's kind of just the personality that I have. But in business, I feel, you know, a lot of people are basically on that same page. So,
right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're kind of doing it on your own too. It's just, it's a lot of different hats to wear.
It is. I have to be friendly. I have to be a businesswoman. I have to be an athlete. And luckily, I mean, I guess I am all of those things. So yeah, I am lucky.
That's cool. Lucky. So, I mean, do you think like starting up in the sport as a woman, was that harder, like it's kind of, traditionally perceived to be, or did it maybe help you a little bit?
You know what? It's a catch-22. And I wouldn't have said that last year. I found the first couple of years when I was just getting my feet wet, really starting to build my brand and my career in racing, I had a lot of people supporting me and being like, Linz, like, this is great. You're a female. You're just going out there with the boys. You're just showing them what you got. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm doing. Except when I put on my helmet, we're all gender neutral. We're just that driver behind the wheel, right? But on the outside, yeah, okay, it does mean something to a lot of people. And, at the end of the day, it does mean something to me because there isn't a lot of females in racing. And it is quite a pity because I know a lot of females that are talented who should be in it. But it's just this sport that not everybody gets exposed to when they're younger, or even, just like me. I didn't know it was there. I didn't know it was a possibility. So, when I started getting into it, a lot of people were very supportive. You're a female, you're going out there, you're doing it. Good for you. You're chasing your dream. Awesome. What I found lately, which is interesting, and I'm not saying this as a general blanket comment, because there's still a lot of people just so supportive and just like beautiful when it comes to giving me words of praise. But lately I have been finding a little bit more pushback from certain people, because I'm coming in my own program with my own race team, with my own race car, and I've put a lot of time and effort and, investment in this. And maybe now people are seeing how serious I am about it. And they're not just saying, oh, she's a female in motorsport coming in to, get her feet wet. No, she's serious.
Right.
She's serious. And, maybe, the boys club sometimes, the mentality there doesn't like that. But, here we are, 2019, and we're going out there and nothing's going to stop us. So, but I really do want to recognize how many people truly, truly support my program. Like, oh my goodness, especially when I look on my social media and Instagram, the comments and the praise I get, it's just a really, really, great space. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing I've noticed is, in the last, whatever it's been, 3 to 4 years, it's been kind of a trend where there is more promotion for women in motorsport, and it is a level playing field. And then what's also interesting, I've been kind of reading more about and watching interviews about the W Series, and I was curious to see what you thought about that.
Oh, I love the W Series. They kicked off 2 weeks ago, and it was like this moment. I'm watching the start. I'm just like, this is history right here. Like, what a fantastic opportunity for these girls to go and not necessarily be separated from the boys. I don't think that's not the goal here. It's just to bring them up through the ranks and just show what they can do. And, watching Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell out there in the front of the pack, just having, like, you can just tell they're out there. They're just giving it their all, but they're having a blast because what a moment in motorsport history for females. Like, what a moment. And they are leading the pack. It was just really cool to see. And overall, that program, the W Series, is a really monumental thing for, not just females across motorsport, but, all genders. It's a really unique opportunity. Totally in support.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So then, are you also working on sort of like a lifestyle brand type business, or kind of what's your end game, I guess?
Lifestyle brand. It's a good question. all of these things just came naturally. So this lifestyle brand, I'm guessing you're talking about my apparel and my hats and
Right.
backpacks and stuff. Yeah. So all of these things came naturally to me because I don't show that I love fashion, but I do. I'm very black and white and gray and pretty sporty, but when it comes to fun, fashion and different fun items, I mean, I'm a little bit more tomboy, but I love fashion. So this was something, that came to me when I had all these people following me and just loving all of the stuff I made for myself. So my hats, my jackets, I've made a couple custom pairs of shoes that say Rice Racing or have my Rice Racing logo on it. And people have gravitated to my Rice Racing logo. So I'm like, why not, put it out there and see if people want to, represent my brand and my company, Rice Racing. So, so now we've got backpacks, we've got hats. I'm working on apparel like t-shirts and sweaters, and stickers, of course, and buttons and all that fun stuff. So yeah, that's out there on raceracing.ca.
Very cool. Very cool. So then would you want to like always continue driving or sway towards like the ownership and management side of racing? Or
so that's a very good question. I know for a fact I will always want to drive. Anytime I get to the racetrack and I'm not getting in a car, it always feels off. I'm like, but what am I doing here?
Right.
That's in my blood, especially hearing the engines being around the cars. You can't keep me away from it. Would I want to own and operate a team as well? Definitely. If there comes a point where I have that opportunity and I get drivers underneath the Rice Racing team and we can go, international to the US, to Europe, etc., I would definitely jump on that opportunity. And if that meant, me sitting in the back seat for a little while, for a couple of years, no problem, because I know I would always recreationally be in a car for sure.
And then also, so then like for preparation for like a race weekend, like this weekend coming up, do you do like sim racing then, or do you guys have like your own rig that the team uses, or do you have like a personal rig?
So we're going to have to do another podcast in a couple weeks or months to give an update on this.
Yeah.
Because I have done some sim training. However, I haven't had much access to a simulator, but just yesterday I set up my own Next Level Racing GT track seat and ensemble for my home simulator. So I'm going to have the GT track set up from Next Level Racing and Thrustmaster pedals and steering wheel. And I'll be on iRacing in the next week or two practicing. And, in the fall, they're promising that my Audi RS3 LMS is going to be on iRacing. So that's when I'm going to be able to do some testing in my own car.
Sweet. Yeah. That would be really cool to get that on iRacing too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be able to share my profile and stuff, and maybe you and I can even race, go head to head on the.
The thing is,
you have iRacing?
So I've always been into GT3 like from the start, but now that I'm kind of trying to operate my own business, actually making the steering wheels. I'm not sure if you're familiar with kind of my brand, but that really hasn't left a whole lot of time for sim racing.
I didn't know that. So you make your own steering wheels.
So actually, I'm actually more on the manufacturer side of doing things. And then, and so, that's kind of what I've been doing for the last probably 2 or 3 years. I make, my most popular is actually the Audi R8 wheel I make. So, but,
okay, so you'll have to send me one to test out.
It's been cool because there's been a lot of support from other racing drivers too. So, but it's I would say 3 years ago I was really into sim racing and I was consistently doing it every week and getting faster. But then the last couple of years it's been like total drop offs and I'm just really slow again.
you know what? Life can just get in the way. Especially when you're running your own business. It's so easy to get caught up.
And that's one of the things, like for me personally is I think I enjoy, like I of course love the sport, but I think I personally enjoy the business side more versus actually racing.
Yeah,
and
fair
so
enough. Fair enough.
plus,
oh, I like if if I could relate to that. The last couple months have probably been some of the most stressful in my life, getting the 2019 season going. But I have to say, with what we've put together and the success I've seen, I've never felt better or more confident than I have before, other than actually being behind the wheel and throwing my car into a corner and feeling confident then. But, there's something to be said about being in business, and especially your own business. But, it's your baby, it's everything. So if you're succeeding in it, there's no better feeling.
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of series then do you want to move in for the future? Like, would you want to get into like more US racing or stay in Canada?
Honestly, anything, everything, everything that's fast, that has a motor, that I can be behind the wheel of. That includes motorcycles, even though my father says, Lindsay, you're racing. That's enough. Don't get on a two-wheeler, please. Anything. I mean, when I think about the next couple years, I'd love, love, love to get into faster GT models. So GT4s, GT3s, pardon me. And naturally that would bring me into the States and hopefully even across seas into Europe, into the Middle East. So honestly, the way everything's been moving the last couple of years, I just keep putting my head down and doing what I need to and what I feel is right. And it's helped me to get to this point. So I'm just going to keep doing that and seeing where it takes me. But bigger, better, faster cars definitely on the horizon.
Right. Yeah, that's what's cool is, I mean, that's the thing that's kind of fun to watch too, is like the progression, because you have to have a baseline and then build from there and, work your way up and, I guess make new connections along the way. And
no, definitely. And it's just crazy how one day you start doing what you want and then people just support that, recognize that, and more people support that and recognize that. And it's this trickle effect. And next thing you know, you're getting calls every other day saying, we want you to do this and this and this. And you're like, hold on, this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly where I saw myself going, like succeeding in what I want to do here. And I'm in the middle of it and you don't even realize it until you take a step back.
Yeah,
right?
that's one thing that's funny about, I guess, maybe success principles in general is, it's like those that put themselves out there, they're the ones that usually get rewarded with, the people kind of come out of the woodwork and then help bring you to that point, even though you didn't see it happening or you couldn't have predicted it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And I think, life gets crazy busy. But I'm trying to live by, never say no. Just never say no. If there's an opportunity, you say yes and you just do it, make time for it. And I mean, if it's really invaluable to you, then see if it makes sense, but just do it, because that's what's going to open more doors and get things moving. Yeah.
That's fun to see. So, well, so you've got a race coming up this weekend. Where's that
at? Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. So just outside of Toronto.
That's a fun track.
Have you been there?
I would like to. I'm in Minnesota, so it wouldn't be that far. But I've done it in the sim a lot. Yeah.
CTMP is hands down the most exhilarating, high speed, like Oh my gosh, I'm in love. I mean, maybe I'm biased because it's my home track, but we got to get you out there one day. If you're up for it, you got to come out, because the twists and the turns and the high speed corners are just like, it's that butterfly that's in your stomach that just like makes everything okay.
It's got a good
track.
flow to it. You can kind of just, some tracks it just I don't know, they're really really boring. Choppy. And then but it's kind of one of those kind of OG
the OG Formula One. I mean, it's a little more safe now than it was back then, because we have a lot more runoff, but yeah, it's got that soul. It's got soul for sure. So yeah, we're on track on Thursday practicing.
So what other series run then?
This race weekend. So I'm in the Canadian Touring Car Championship, in the TCR category. So that's the Canadian TCR Championship. The Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama, if we want to get their marketing in there. They're on track. WeatherTech isn't there this weekend. It's, forgive me, I'm going to say this wrong. It's the Pirelli World Challenge. I think it's called SRO America now. SRO, I'm pretty sure. Nissan Micra Cup, and finally the NASCAR guys. Canadian NASCAR. So quite a few big name series out there.
Yeah, that'll be a fun weekend.
50,000 fans. So it's really busy.
That's one thing I want to do in the future is, get to the actual track more often. So.
Yeah. Well, go check out our schedule. Awesome. You can come anytime. We have hospitality. Yeah, very seriously. Cool. Seriously.
Well, yeah, I guess best of luck to you, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I mean, is there any plugs that you'd want to make?
No, I mean, we are starting off the season, so if anybody's interested in following along what we're doing, you can check out basically everything on my website, www.lindsayrice, LINDSAY, rice like the food, .ca. And my schedule's on there, live timing results, any info for races and all my partners, and everything's on there. Also my race racing gear and shop is linked on there. So if you're interested in following along and seeing what we're up to, everything's there. And feel free to come out to the racetrack and come and say, hey, we're in Ontario and Quebec. So that's where we'll be this summer, and look out for us. Number 18.
Best of luck to you. Nice talking to you.